Good morning, everyone. Today's video is something that's been requested from by quite a few people that know a little bit about me here and know that I actually have bought a house here in Pattaya, and they asked me how I actually managed to do that. Well, just to give, I have informed people by return in the comments how I've done it, but I think maybe I should make a very short video just in the principle that I use because I've had several houses since I've been associated with Thailand. When I was working here in the 90s, I had a house, and then a few years before I bought this one, I bought another one in central Pattaya down in the town, which was just like a semi-detached townhouse type thing. But it had no real facilities, a very small front yard, and that was it really. So eventually we decided to move out here, and I'm out on the edges of Pattaya in a very nice place. I've got a single-story house. I've modified it quite a lot. It's got 3 bedrooms and an office and a sitting room. It's got an indoor European kitchen, and it's got an outdoor Thai kitchen. So that's the sort of house I bought. It's very, very convenient for me because we've got a bit of a front garden, not too big, but big enough because we like our dogs. We've got, some of them already know, I've got 4 dogs and a parrot. My eclectus parrot, she's down here. You watching me, huh? You watching me? Are you watching me? Okay. Good morning, Chaba. Good morning, Chaba. She's down here already. She always comes to see what I'm doing when I'm making a video. Anyway, the people have asked me how I can actually do that, because a lot of people put this news on YouTube, etc., that foreigners cannot own houses here in Thailand, and that is actually true, I believe, and but I don't own a house. And let me explain how it works, and that's how I'll go into in this video. There's 2 main points. If you do buy a house through this method, there's 2 aspects that you do need to make sure your solicitor has checked and get confirmation. The very first house I bought in Thailand back in the 90s, there was a high security aspect there, and there was a very dangerous. I almost got robbed very badly, actually, but fortunately I had a good solicitor, and I think that's the main thing to concentrate on, having a good solicitor, and they will know what to check. And that one actually that time saved me a lot of money, and I'll tell you about that in this video too. So if you're interested, let's get into the video. So let me explain, people. Back in the 90s, when I first came to Thailand, I was very fortunate to secure a job, a position here in Thailand as the general manager of an engineering company that was involved in the construction of many facilities in this area, mainly things like oil refineries and petrochem processing units. So it was a good time for me. The job was a job that changed my whole direction in life, actually, but not always for the best. There was good things and bad things, and unfortunately, once water goes under the bridge, they've gone. However, as part of the package for this job I had, after my initial 6-month trial period, so to speak, I got a very nice package for living expenses, which would allow me to rent a house or a flat or a condo even in some place that I really wanted to stay. Well, paying rent has never been a strong aspect that I respect, because giving money away on a monthly basis, knowing that one day you're going to walk away from the accommodation you're staying in, that the money is gone and the accommodation is gone, never really attracted me too much. So it was at that time I looked into buying my very, very first house here in Thailand. It quite amazed me, that at that time, because I had a verifiable income and I had the correct visas, etc., then I could apply for a mortgage from the Thai military bank, which is known better as a TMB. And from applying for it, showing my papers, being accepted and given the money, took just under 4 hours. Unbelievable. I don't know if that's still possible, but it's certainly possible of those times. But I think that was before the big financial collapse, etc., and everything played in. People were getting money and lending money too easily. So that was my story anyway. Now, 30 years later, I'm now on the fourth house that I've purchased over my time in Thailand. And I've had this house, I think, now for about 10 years or so. It's no problems at all. Now, let me talk briefly about condominiums, actually, because for those that might not know, in these big condominium blocks that they're building, there's normally an allocation for foreign purchasers, where there is limitations on what floors, etc. You can actually have these foreign ownership allocations, and if you're going to be purchasing one of these, it's very, very easy, as long as you got the money and you can show that it's coming from a verifiable, legitimate source, and been transferred into Thailand as such and transferred directly into the bank, then no problem. They're very wary now here, surprisingly, about money laundering, etc., and they try to avoid that, so I believe. So any of these methods, there's two methods, any of these methods can also be used to purchase condominiums that are not inside this foreigner allocation. So you can virtually purchase anything you want. The world is your oyster when it comes down to owning a condominium or a house. Yeah, just as an aside, last Friday morning, myself and my wife, we went down to have breakfast at the Queen Vic hotel in Soi 6. Well recommended. It's owned by an English guy. The food is superb and huge value for money. Very good. Anyway, we were sitting down to have our breakfast, and we were close to this big table, a group of guys. That must be some sort of expat breakfast club or something, because we were sitting having open discussions about various aspects in Pattaya here, and I could overhear what they were talking about. Some of these aspects they were talking about were very interesting, actually. One in particular grabbed my notice, in that there was a few guys there that lived in condominiums, obviously, and they were discussing the merits of how their condominiums were deteriorating after a very short time. One guy had been in his condominium for 2 years and was already having various problems. And another guy who'd been in his for 4 years said things like the wall switches were disintegrating, the light switches, etc. And there was all sorts of problems with his condominium, showing poor workmanship and poor materials being used. So I just thought, well, that might make an interesting video one day about how quickly these condominiums could degenerate, and maybe the problems with poor workmanship. However, I would also add, it's not to say that people building the houses are being any more careful, any better workmanship or any better quality materials. It's just something, if you're going to come here and you're looking at a beautiful show house or a beautiful show condominium, check the materials that they're using, and just be aware that these sort of problems. It's definitely worth knowing about. So as I said just now, I'm very happy with my house. Here in Pattaya, for 6 million baht, which is roughly about £145,000. The price you would pay, I guess, in UK for a 2-bedroom semi or something in most areas. You can buy a nice detached house with a swimming pool if that's what you were looking for, just for that 145,000. 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, maybe. All possible, and some very nice houses as well. Personally, I would probably look at the used ones going on the market, because you'll have seen how they've weathered, etc., over time. And the new ones tend to be over the top in price as well. So that's another aspect. You get better value buying second hand, I think, than buying new at this moment of time. My own experience, I did have a pool villa once, and the maintenance and upkeep of the pool, for the amount I was using it, wasn't really, to me, good value. And considering that most villages that you buy houses, you can buy a house in, if you're buying a house in a village, which I recommend also for the security, etc. If you're buying a house in a village, normally you will have the facilities of a swimming pool that the community can use in the village. So that's another point of consideration. This village I live in here, there's many much bigger houses than mine, and these people have got more ground, and a lot of them do have their own swimming pools. Hey, great, if that's what you want. There's also guys that have got big gardens. Mine's a little bit, well, it's a lot smaller than the big houses, but I've just about got enough ground for me and my family and my animals. So I'm perfectly happy. Anyway, enough of me rambling on now. Let me go on and talk about the way that you can make your purchases, whether you're buying a condominium that's not on the foreign quota list, or whether you're buying a house, how you can do it and how you can do it well, with two very important considerations that you should know about. I'll just say that a good lawyer will probably check these anyway, but you should be aware of them as well, and just to double check if you're considering buying a house here in the wonderful city of Pattaya or anywhere else in Thailand. Let's move on with that. Now we're coming to the meat on the bone. So there are two ways that you can purchase a house here in Thailand. And it's important to say that although you can purchase a house, you cannot own the land that the house is on. The first way is to lease the land. You can lease a piece of land as a foreigner for up to 30 years. And then you can build your house on that, and no problem at all. The only problem there is there's nothing to compel the landowner to extend your lease after 30 years. Now, in my sort of case, it wouldn't really matter. I don't think I'll be too interested in what happens to the lease of the land in 30 years, if that's what I'd done, but it's not what I'd done. But the problem is that you could end up that, even if you're not involved, your family might be living there, your extended family, and after this 30 years is up, they'll lose the land and the property that's on it. All that money and effort that you've put into developing the house over the years, all gone. So I don't find that a particularly attractive option, but some people do it. Particularly, I hear in condominiums, but I don't really. They say it can be done. I don't know. I've never used it, but okay. The way I would recommend it be done is as follows. If you're going to buy a house, if you're buying a house from a Thai, then it's likely to be in the Thai name. And when you're buying it, you're going to have to establish a company. And you can do that quite easily, and I don't think it's particularly expensive. You go and see a lawyer or a solicitor. and they'll set the company up for you. The people I use for my accounts in Soy 6, they are excellent. If you want to know who they are, just drop a comment down under the video and I'll give you their information. But they've served me for many, many years, right from the very first house, and totally reliable. So you set up this company. Now there's regulations on that as well, in that a foreigner involved in a company, the Thai ownership must be more than 50%. So the Thais must have the majority of shares in the company. And the way it's then done is, as was done with me the first time, I got 48% of the shares of the company. 52% of the shares was shared between 4 Thai people, each getting 13% of the shares, which left me as the major shareholder. Good. And what they done, which was a very important aspect as well, the 4 Thai people involved, they signed over their voting rights to me as the major shareholder, which gave me absolute control of the company. No problem at all. And then the house was under my control. Very, 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 very common way of doing it here, and I've not heard of too many people having problems with it. And although I have heard of some people, and I will discuss that with you in a moment. As far as the company trading is concerned, it's a dormant company, and the only commitment I really have for this company is I have to have a set of accounts submitted annually for the company, and its only assets in the company is the house that I live in. So that's the only asset of the company. And at the moment, I do that annually, once again with this company in Soy 6, and I currently pay 13,000 baht a year to have the accounts submitted, and it works very, very well, actually, no problem. Now, I did have a problem a few years ago when one of the shareholders in my company passed, and there was a problem with the shares. So what we done at that point was I changed the whole structure of the company. I made my daughter and my wife shareholders. There was no problem. I was my daughter's legal guardian, and I gave them, they each have 26% shares in the company, which once again leaves me as a major shareholder. And that works very well. I've got no problem with that. As I say, it's my wife and my daughter. Trust them with my life implicitly. I'm in that lucky position now to be able to do that. I wouldn't recommend it for a lot of other people, definitely not. So now let me give you some words of caution, the important part of this video. You know, many of the houses sold here in Pattaya by foreigners to foreigners, they're not buying the house. You buy the company. If the house is already in a company name, you buy the company, and you have control of the company. They check you have to get a solicitor, of course, involved, and they will check everything. They may change the shareholder, whatever, but you get a solicitor involved. There's no problem. It works very, very well. Except that there's a couple of things the solicitor really needs to check. One is that the accounts for the company concerned have been submitted regularly. And I think a good solicitor would do that. I'll come to it in a minute, the other aspect anyway. And also, I'd just like to give you a little cautionary tale. When I bought my very first house, I was in a bit of a beginning of a relationship that seemed to be going okay, and I saw a house that I liked, and I decided I would like to try and buy this house. All going well. So done some negotiating with the sales agents, etc., and then I went and saw a solicitor, a lawyer, and it was a lady in Soy Post Office, actually. And I went down and I saw the lawyer there and went through all the paperwork, etc. This house was being sold in a company. It was already part of a company, so it should have been all okay. But the solicitor says that she would change the shareholders and check on the relative things that she had to check on. Perfect. So happy with the way things were going. It was okay till about one day. I went in the office in the morning, and about 10 o'clock, I got a phone call from this lawyer, this lady in Soy Post Office, saying, Mr. Sandy, I'd like you, could you come in and see me this afternoon, please? I'd like to have a chat with you. I said, yeah, no problem. I said, is it you got problems? She said, no, not really, but I'd like to have a chat with you. I said, okay. And then she said something very strange. She was, oh, and please don't bring your girlfriend with you. Oh, so immediately some alarm bells ringing, but I had no idea how this could be connected in any way. So anyway, I went down to see her in the afternoon, got to her office, very, very interested to see what she had to talk about. And she said to me, she said, last night, she said, just before I closed, your girlfriend came and saw me. I said, yeah, did she? Why? She said, well, she told me that her and her family, some members of her family, were going to make up the Thai contingent of the shareholders for your company. Oh, did she? Well, she says, I would strongly advise you not to do this. She said it could present big, big problems in the future. If these people all got together, they could join the forces, they could vote you out, and you could lose everything. I understood that right away, actually. And it still sends a shiver down my spine. And obviously, the relationship didn't go on very long after that. In fact, it didn't go on at all after that. And it was very good that the lawyer picked up on it and told me, which a good lawyer should do, obviously, but just something to think about. It's an important aspect. It could have went all wrong, and I could have lost quite a lot there. So anyway, I think I've babbled on enough in this video. Sorry about that, but okay. I hope you understand the way you can buy your house and a few of the elements to be aware of. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye for now.